today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
Welcome to episode 88 of Shop Talk. It's Carrie.
Jennifer.
And we've made it to the season finales of The Rookie and the Rookie Feds. There was a lot that went on, and I'm impatiently waiting. Jennifer had written patiently waiting for September. Because we need the 2 cliffhangers resolved, and we'd kind of also like to know the status of Feds as far as what they're doing. So there's a lot still in play.
The status of Feds, I don't have to wait until September. I mean, they could give it to me within the next few weeks and I'd be fine.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just, a lot of things still up in the air, kind of.
Yeah, I will say after this episode of Feds, I really need more of Carter Hope. Please. This man's hilarious.
Yeah. So we don't really have like a lot of news, but we'll just go ahead and talk about a couple of things. Eric and Rosalind had Felix Solis, aka Garza, on their podcast this week. So that was cool. He talked about like acting and just, a little bit of Fed stuff and just like all the things. So check it out if you haven't already.
It's a good episode. I don't know. I feel like with the Family Feud stuff, with the TikTok, like Feds has to be getting renewed. They would not be doing all of this like promo for them if they weren't getting renewed, but maybe that's just me. So
hope so.
Yeah. And then, as you may know, the writer's strike started on Tuesday. And from all of the articles that have came out, it looks like it doesn't totally affect scripted like series just yet. It affects more like the late night shows, like the SNL, everything like that. But depending on how long it goes on, it could affect when the cast goes back for filming, when the shows come back, etc. So yeah. And we're fully in support of the writers and want them to get the compensation and like the work-life balance that they deserve. They play a huge part in making our favorite shows happen and, writing these ships and everything. So yeah.
And like actors can play it, but there'd be nothing for the actors to play, would it not be for the writers? So
yeah. We're impatiently waiting for the next seasons, but we're also patiently waiting for this strike. So yeah. But hopefully they can come to a resolution like somewhat quick. I know the last one in 2007 lasted like 100 days. So
was that really the last? Wow. Yeah, I guess I remember that. Yeah, because it did affect the Friday Night Lights was cut short at that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was a while ago. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I didn't realize it had been that long. Goodness. Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be, more updates as it goes on. So, yeah.
So I just looked up what 100 days from like today, May 3rd being is, and it's Friday, August 11th. So like if it is to go 100 days, we're looking at like August finally
it's a little
getting everyone back. So it could push shows to like mid-season, but I mean it's out of everyone's hands. So
cross that bridge if it comes to it.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, we don't really have any other news. Like, we just have some intense episodes to talk about. So let's get started. First is The Rookie, titled Under Siege. And this one, listen, I didn't know that I needed this episode until I had it. Like, it was all the things. It almost seemed like Rookie and Feds like did a swap. Like Feds was a little lighthearted. They still have like an intense case, but it was a little lighthearted, a little comedic. And this one was just intense, whereas Feds usually is. But so we'll start off with Aaron and Selena. They're walking home after a late night of playing Dungeons and Dragons. One, this is the BFF duo that we needed. Number 2, is this the same outfit that she wore on her date with Scott at the end of the last episode? The jacket is familiar. But I feel like she was wearing black pants before and she's wearing jeans now.
I mean, I thought she was wearing like a brown jacket. Was the jacket brown? I don't know.
Maybe. I'd have to go back and look, but they're out until like 4 a.m. So, and Selena like hears a noise in the dark alley and stops them. And Aaron's like, look, if you're looking for trouble, you're gonna end up finding it. They then hear a person scream, and Selena's like, should I call it in? And Aaron's like, why? So we can get laughed at, like when it's nothing. And so they decide to go further into the alley without calling it in. And they split up from each other, but not before doing their like BFF handshake. And we just need this duo to be around more in season 6. Like that's part of the cliffhanger, but we're gonna hope for positive things. So we see a masked guy like waiting for Selena behind a wall. She like kind of starts to continue on, and then she hears Aaron scream, but Aaron, like another masked guy is waiting for Aaron to walk by. And he kind of like gets his attention, and then another guy's like on the other side to ambush him. And so Selena like runs up with her gun drawn after she hears him like fall to the ground and scream or whatever. And so the masked guy, I'm assuming that was waiting for her, comes up behind her and knocks her to the ground. Aaron's then shot in the back. And after he's shot, they pick up the shell casing. And so Selena's not out totally. She's not out cold, but one of the masked men tells her to remember this and tells her the riddle. And so then like he calls for help, but can't finish the call. And so she crawls over to Aaron. And we like then cut over to Balin. She's working the late shift. He can't sleep, so he's working on Simone's garage conversion. And then Bailey's called to the scene where Aaron and Selena are. And at that point, all she knows is an officer, like off-duty officer, has been shot. So then we cut over to Gray, who's woken up by a phone call, and he just like darts out of bed with Luna asking what happened. We go back over to the scene. Everyone's rolling out, police, ambulance, like the whole thing. And Bailey's partner is helping Aaron while she's helping Selena. We see Gray like get out. He's immediately spewing orders, as he should. And Gray then meets with Selena, who's like relaying what they should do. And he's like, we're already on it. Like, just go to the hospital. Harper's going to take your statement. And then Gray asks Bailey how bad Aaron is. And she's just like, it's bad. And I had flashbacks to his reaction with Jackson. And I was like, nope, don't want this. They can take this all back right now. And so then Chenford like comes up, Gray gives them the rundown, they go from there or whatever, and Aaron then makes it into the ER, and the doctors and nurses are doing their thing, assessing him, like stating what they need. This is all before the cold opener too, and his pulse isn't good. He's now being intubated. And so then like we kind of see John like walk out of the elevator. He finds Lopez asking what happened. They only know about Aaron, and then Selena's rolled in, who does not want to be on that gurney. She starts to tell John about the riddle, and he's like, okay, well, after they check you out, like, I'll talk to you. And Selena's like, no, like, it has to be now. What if I forget? And she, like, even grabs a hold of, like, his jacket. And it's so good. Lisette, like, acted her butt off with all of this. And John records the riddle, tells Nyla and Lopez about it. Angela's like going to go up to labor and delivery, but wants John to send her the riddle. And she's like, I'll probably have time to work on it. Like, if this baby's anything like Jack, it'll take a while before she makes an appearance. Which reminder, we were ripped, like we were gypped of seeing Angela and Wesley have baby Jack. But Bailey comes out to see John and Nyla, saying that Aaron has the best trauma surgeon around, like he'll be fine. Nyla then tells John that, like, he can stay with Selena, like no one will think twice of it. And John's like, yeah, I'll never hear the end of it, like if I don't find out who did this. So Bailey then tells her about the masks, and John's like, I'll get a sketch artist to meet with Selena after the doctors look at her. And she's in the ED, like watching Aaron across the way get like an ultrasound on his abdomen done. Then hears that his BP is plummeting, like there's free fluid in a quadrant of his abdomen. It's likely his spleen. And so Aaron's in surgery. They're talking about doing a splendectomy. And that's kind of all that we see of him. And then everyone's in the roll call room. Like we go back to the team. Gray's briefing them on what they know about the case and what they're going to do. And Selena helps them draw sketches of the masks that the assailant wore. They're not just your typical Halloween masks. They try to like identify the manufacturer. Lucy's going to help with that. John's like, I'll look at the social media that's being, and Lucy is just like, yeah, I compiled a list of everyone who's done time for assaulting a police officer. But the question being, like, was this specific to Aaron and Selena, and why not just kill Aaron? And then another question that they have is this related to his family? Like, he's a public figure. And then Nyla's like, well, what if this was done by Elijah? And, he could still have powers behind bars. And Gray's like, well, you would think that they would target Angela first, but okay. What did you think when they were like, what if it's Elijah? Like, were you expecting that?
No, not really.
Yeah. So I was coming home from getting dinner and I was playing this, like, probably not so safe on the Bluetooth of my car. And I was like, Elijah, when they said Elijah, because I obviously didn't know what was going on. When they said Elijah, I was kind of like thrown off. And I was still even like, well, how could he have anything to do with this? But never doubt Elijah's tone. So then Luna like says that she just heard about Aaron. He's still in surgery because she comes in. And which I thought it was kind of odd that she was in the episode. Like, it made me worried that Gray was going to get hurt or something. But then like she helped. So I was kind of like, okay. I don't know. I guess James was in it too. So it wasn't like totally out of the realm, but yeah, so Luna's just like, yeah, I heard Aaron's still in surgery. We then cut over to him. The machines are beeping, his BP and O2 are falling, like his lungs are filling with fluid, so they're gonna do a chest tube, and then things stabilize once that's done. So Selena's like laying in the hospital bed, zoning out. Bayla knocks. They bring stuff so she can like have a calming place of recovery. Quartz for healing, obsidian for protection. And John's like, and I have your favorite meatball sub. And she's like, I could eat too. And John's like, yeah, they're both in there. Bailey thought I was crazy. And Bayla, mom and dad status. I mean, yeah, I just love how they've like taken Selena like under their wing.
Mm-hmm.
And so Selena like asks for updates on the case, and John just tells her there's a long list of people who didn't do it. And Bailey just like leaves to see if there's any updates on Aaron. And like when she leaves, Selena's like, I should have called it in. I shouldn't have left his side. Like, she's already blaming herself. And John's like, if there's anything that you can learn from this, like a lesson, then take it. That's great. But like, it sounds like you're not making a rational assessment, and like, sounds like you're blaming yourself. And John reminds her that that they were ambushed and outnumbered. And like, after taking a knock to the head, like, she called for help and administered first aid before help could arrive. Like, because of her, Aaron has a chance. And Bailey then pops her head in, and Aaron's out of surgery. And so like, we go over to the rest of the team. The surgeon's telling everyone about the surgery. They ran into a few hiccups, but everything went as expected. But the next 12 hours are critical. And so Chenford comes in telling everyone that none of their CIs have heard anything. And, they're still not having any luck with the manufacturer for the mask. So John then asks about Elijah and is looking at communication going in and out of the prison. And he's like, nothing indicates that he's involved. So he's out of this equation. And Luna ends up giving them an update on the riddle, saying there's nothing 100% positive on the riddle front, but like, the front half is simple, the back half is confusing, and Lopez is deep into it, which, like, honestly, couldn't think of anyone better for it. Like, do we all remember their murder boards? I mean, they're the best at solving mysteries. So Gray then is like, well, this case isn't going to break tonight. Like, we should all just go home and get some sleep. The night shift will run the leads that come in. He's going to stay with Aaron, though, keep an eye on Selena too. And so after everyone leaves, Luna's like, it's going to be okay. And Gray's just like, it has to be, because I can't lose another, which this man is hurting. And when I wasn't watching the episode like completely live, I had first seen that on Twitter, like, just, I can't lose another. And I don't know why I thought that was Shenford, but I guess then I saw the Chenford hug because it was like all kinds of lagged and all that. And so I thought that was Chenford for a minute, and it was Lucy like talking about a friend, which both would have been valid, honestly. And so Lopez is looking at the board in her hospital room. You know, they look perplexed with the riddle, but like also tired. Angela's cheetah print robe over the hospital gown was amazing. You're channeling your inner Angela Lopez right now, and I love that. But we see Chenford like walk into the apartment, like we cut over to them. They put their bags down. He pulls her in for a hug and a kiss to the head, and I'm gone. Like that was it. There was no more of me. But we see Selena outside of Aaron's hospital room. She's talking to him about their Dungeons and Dragons game, replaying it for him. She tells him that like she needs him to roll a natural 20 and destroy the Labradoodle. Which like with this analogy, the Labradoodle is death. And so towards like the middle of the episode, Hamza Young, who is the masked assailant that John shot, is brought into the ER. Nyla shares that according to the feds, like he flew in 2 weeks ago from Poland and went off the grid. And so that's kind of all that we hear from him, like about him really. And after the FaceTime between Lopez Gray and the team, after like Angela's had the baby, there's so many different cuts that it was hard to outline it, but it was also like, I'm just gonna put this all into one like storyline pretty much. So after the FaceTime between Lopez, Gray, and the team, we cut back over to Aaron and Selena. He's still in the coma. Selena reminds him about the Labradoodle, and she's just like, push through, rally, like, we need you here. And the team is like, we go back over to the team. They're briefed on the masks, how they were obtained, everything like that. And Roy Grayco is the one who purchased the masks. And he turns out that he's a 2-time villain with a history of violence. And they don't know what's beef with Mid Wilshire, but he does have a first felony conviction that came from one of the arrests that they made. But like those arresting officers have since been transferred. So it still doesn't add up to any of them. And Tim's like, well, I don't understand this riddle. Like, should we follow it? Should we not? Like, you know, what should we do? So they're improving their force. They end up going to Grayco's house with the long guns. They find the dead man who turns out to be Roy. And he, like, there's another team of cops who are walking by the store, and it's kind of like ajar, and we see it wired with something on the inside, and someone like goes to reach for the doorknob but doesn't completely open it, and Tim's like, it's a trap, everyone get out, you know, we're aborting this mission. So they now they're wondering if Grayco was in charge of this crew or not. And so the Emmy put Grayco's time of death before Aaron and Selena were ambushed. So the riddle led them to the house so that they could be blown up, basically. And John's like, are we any closer to finding out who shot Aaron? And it turns out that TID is processing the house, but they're not going to find anything. These guys are pros at all of this. So Tim's like, well, we should move on, but Lucy disagrees. And she's like, if Grayco is a patsy, then we should be asking why him? You know, is there some kind of connection, or did they pull out his name out of the database? And so she plays devil's advocate, and she's like, if I was going to the extreme of taking out police officers, why not take out some of my enemies along the way? And so they end up getting a list of who would have killed Roy Grayco. And, you know, there's 7 people who have a troubled history with both Grayco and one of the cops. And Gray wants Metro knocking on the doors of the people at the top of the list. And so the other 3 are the non-violent offenders. So the top 4 are the ones that are more violent. The bottom 3 are non-violent offenders. But, you know, Nolan and Harper are checking one out. Lucy's going to go check out Moran. And Gray's like, no, you're not going by yourself. Tim says that he'll go with her. And then Jana and Rodriguez are going to go visit Howard. And so then, like, we'll kind of get into it in a minute, but like Chenford's then attacked and Moran is shot. And then it goes into Aaron flatlining. So just as Moran is shot, Aaron then flatlines. And the end of the episode, we see like a cavalry of cops drive by. And when we see the mysterious voice on the phone, like, you know, he's laughing because they're driving the opposite way. and he's like, we weaponized Luke Moran against the LAPD, and it's driven every cop in the city away from their target. By the time they realize that the damage is done, like, me and the rest of my team will be long gone. So we have the two cliffhangers right there, like Aaron flatlines, and this guy is a threat to LA. But it'll be interesting to see how they kind of continue that storyline. What did you think of the cliffhangers?
I mean, they were. I mean, I knew they weren't going to be able to wrap everything up, so I knew they would. I understood why they did both cliffhangers. I just didn't. Why did one of them have to be Aaron? That's all. Yeah.
When Gray went in after Moran alone, I literally thought that Gray was the second cliffhanger. I was like, we know that Aaron's going to be the cliffhanger.
Yeah, I was like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. But then when backup showed up, I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because of course they wouldn't really leave. They definitely know the importance of sticking together after all of what's happened. So
yeah. No, I thought it was great because I was like, well, that would explain why Luna's here, like, because we're going to see her kind of deal with this. But then when the rest of the team went in for backup as Gray, I was like, okay, thank goodness that they're not doing this to two of our favorites. But yeah, I don't know. I was kind of expecting that for Aaron, but I was like, I don't want this. So they can take it back. They can take it all back right now. But of course, as this episode went on, the team and their pairings all got attacked in one way or another. And so we'll kind of get into that next because it all ties together into the main case, obviously, but like they each had such like intense scenes during all of this that it was crazy to watch. So Balin gets home with the food. We see this in the sneak peek. John's just like looking on the internet for the creepy masks. And Bailey's like, yeah, that sounds like a hot date. And I'm like, all right, well, you guys haven't had normal dates. So I guess like this just seems right up your alley. And so he pulls her aside, telling her to call 911, like, because he sees the creepy mask out in the backyard. And he then goes outside with his gun drawn, and it's a fake out. And like as she's calling the cops, you see the door behind her open, and there's another masked guy inside. A fight scene and shootout happens between Balin and this guy, and it's so crazy. The like shot of when he shot his gun and the salad just like goes all over the place. I loved that. But Bailey ends up yelling, catching this guy off guard. John takes another shot at him. They're both fine. Somehow, because Bailey was like thrown against a wall, then onto a table. Her head was like bonked into things. Like she just like really went through it. And she's like, no, I'm fine. Like it's just a few bumps. Like it's no big deal.
Not like I wanted her to be down for the count or anything, but I just thought because like the preview when they cut it off as she was, gonna get attacked or whatever, I thought, okay, here she's actually gonna get like really hit over the head. No, then she just goes into the, whatever martial arts training she has and just all the things. I was like, I mean, like, good for her for being a badass, but like, I don't know why I actually thought that they would. I don't know why I thought that they would not make it out unscathed, or relatively speaking.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's a very Bailey thing. Like she could be like tortured in so many ways, and she's just gonna come out on top and be like, I'm fine, no big deal. So John then says that they have to warn everyone because if they went after Balin, like, and Aaron and Selena, who's next? And then we cut over to Nyla and James, and this storyline was just, this attack was, we did not need this. I don't know what I needed for this one, but it was certainly not this. So
this like freaked me the fuck out. I was like, no, we're not doing this. Other shows do it and stress me out. Don't need it with this show.
I don't think, I was seeing it last night, I don't think that we've ever been on the edge of our seat as much as we were for this episode than we have been in the past. Like the rookie really brought their A game. But I don't know. This one also kind of reminded me of, remember the double date episode where Nyla like had James and that Alonzo guy like on a double date, and then Wesley, like it was a Wesley and Elijah thing, and so Elijah like had a camera into Baby Jack's room or something. Kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of this, like in a way, but we cut over to Nyla and James, and he just got Leah down for bed. Which I saw your tweet about like the canon spelling for Leah and subtitles put an H at the end.
Good to know.
So yeah, I don't know. But Nyla's busy on her laptop. She's, looking for everything, but also not really knowing totally what to look for. And James hands her a glass of wine that she declines because she's like, no, I have to see sharp. And so he just like pours her glass into his, which like whole mood during this episode, let's be real. I mean, the way that he just poured it was like, listen, we all kind of need that right now. And so Nyla then gets a call from John. She stands up immediately. She's freaked out. And she tells James that they have to go now. And she like runs over to look at the baby monitor to find a masked guy in Leah's bedroom. Like he's looking over at the crib and then like looks up at the camera, and it's just creepy. We don't need this. And so she tells James to grab her gun, and she's running up the stairs, and she gets there too late. And so they run outside to see the masked assailant in a car, and he starts to drive off. And of course, Nyla's like thinking the worst, trying to get the license plate number, but then they find Leah by the stump of the tree, which I have questions. Like, how did he get out of the house, like on the second story with a baby and not like injure her? I mean, I guess that's why they were getting her checked out, but still, like, it was crazy.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we go back over to Balin, and they're talking about the masked assailant who ambushed them. He's denying the questions of like who hired him, even saying that he's just a tourist there to see LA. Chenford and Gray come up. They've run his prints. His name is Hamza Young. He's a professional mercenary and is wanted in connection of 3 foreign assassinations. And so they just want to know who hired him, but like he's insisting that if they read his file, they know. And so Tim's like, this guy isn't obviously going to get us anywhere. So now we're in DEFCON 1 territory, and they have to assume that all the hitters have the same skill level. So basically have to isolate everyone that they care about. And, that's going to take a lot of space. But Gray just mentions that Aaron's parents rented a whole floor in the Peninsula Hotel. And he's like, I tried to talk them out of it, but, they said that it's just money. And Tim's like, all right, fine. We just need heavy security in the lobby. With the SWAT team guarding every elevator or stairs. And Lucy's like, we should move everyone covertly so that like, the home seems occupied. Maybe we could draw on another attack. And then Bailey asks Gray about Nyla, James, and Leah. And he's just like, yeah, they're at the hospital getting Leah checked. And Gray's like, that's where you two should be. And John's like, yeah, we'll go and get checked, but I'm getting right back into the game after that. So John then asks about Leah, like to Nyla, and Nyla's like, she's fine, thank God. And James is taking her to the hotel. And so then like he piggybacks off Nyla's question from the previous day, and he's like, well, why didn't they take Leah? Like, why grab her just to leave her behind? And Bailey's like, it seems like their goal is to torture the cops as much as possible. So then we get over to our last like ambush. And Chenford is at Moran's place. She tells him that they should be out with Metro. It's not even really, well, yeah, it is his place. It's just in like a sketchy kind of area. And Chenford is at Moran's place, and she tells Tim that he should be out with Metro. They have a little banter. She's like, I don't need you protecting me. And he's like, I know that, but I'm here. And she's like, so what are you saying? Like, you need me protecting you. And he kind of responds with a clearly, you know me so well, call back to 211. And Lucy's like, well, I'm happy that you're my six. Like, he agrees. They end up knocking on Moran's door, and he's on the other side, obviously, hearing their muffled voices. And so then he sends a text to someone and tells them to like come and get Chenford. And the partners hear the door open like down the hall, and they see an army of masked offenders like coming at them with bulletproof shields and what looks like swords, but they must have been batons because they weren't cutting anyone. And so they call, Chenford obviously calls for backup. They start shooting at them. Nothing's happening.
I didn't know why they kept shooting. I mean, I appreciate their effort,
Yeah.
but they could have stopped shooting after maybe the first, I don't know, 5 bullets
I know.
didn't go.
Like,
Because obviously they were like the
bulletproof
shields, yeah, that like riot
yeah,
police use,
yeah.
or something similar to that effect.
Or at least like aim the gun like a different way so that it wasn't like, I mean, it was like straight on to
Or
the
like
shield.
aim it at the ceiling to like get something to knock them
Yeah.
down. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it seemed like it was a weird like start to the shootout scene. So
but I mean that it freaked me out when I just saw all of them and they just kept coming and I was like,
yeah.
nope.
Yeah. I was
Nope.
expecting like maybe 1 or 2, but not that many. I was
just
like
they just multiplied. It was
yeah. And then it was
ridiculous.
Like after so long as this kept going on, it was kind of like, okay, well, who's down and out and who's not? Like, are we just piling on more people? Are they just like coming out of the woodwork? Because you know, they start like Chenford starts running, shooting more again, like why? To the point where Tim like runs out of ammo. And after a second, they put away their guns, they get their batons out, coming up with the game plan. And so they get these masked guys down, shoot at another 2. They start to run, but they keep coming for them. Like, I thought that they had all of them down, and then they start to run, and 2 more come. I'm like, where are these people coming from? So John and Nyla roll up as backup. Tim's out of ammo. He pulls out his mace. Lucy's like getting choked. So like John goes in some door to come get Chenford from behind. Like Nyla's taking a couple of shots from the shop. She's successful in shooting them. It's all so crazy. And so like this is where I was kind of like, all right, where can they go from here? Like I thought John was gonna go in and like help them. I thought he was like gonna go and like take down the masked offenders more so than like pull Chenford out of the crossfire. So the masked guys are all arrested and Gray's coming up like seeing, and as he's coming up to the scene he sees Moran running, and so he follows Moran through an abandoned building and like goes down into this basement area. Moran makes a call to like a mysterious voice and he has to hang up when Gray's trailing behind him or whatever. And so Chenford, John, and Nyla come up as backup. And they're like walking through this basement. Moran starts shooting at them. And he talks about how he ended up here and his case, which I didn't catch this in the beginning. I saw it all over Twitter after, but like there was a callback to 111 with the elder abuse storyline with Jackson and Angela. And he is the same guy from that.
Yeah.
So then I was like, does he think that Aaron is Jackson? And that's why like all this happened. Or was he even the one that like instigated the hit on Aaron? Like who knows? It could have been the mysterious voice dude.
Yeah, I still just don't really understand.
Yeah.
Like, because like you said, I mean, but Aaron's not Jackson. So it's like I just don't, I mean, I don't know. And then
were they supposed to go after Angela? No, I'm not putting that out there. No, I take that back. But
then because like Selena was there too, so it's kind of like she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But then I mean, hopefully it'll not make more sense. Nothing really that Sinister ever makes logical sense. But
or was it just like
if it's probably just part of the overarching plan that they have.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is, or was it just like it could have been Chenford walking through that alley at night and like they were the ones that got, you know, like was it just like
the hatred of police?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. I don't know.
And then other people also called out that the mysterious voice guy was behind Nolan in the elevator. I'm like, oh my God, this fandom is so smart because I would have never caught on to any of that.
I mean, yeah, that when I went back and watched for the second time, yeah, that I saw. Pretty darn sure it was the same person.
Yeah.
There are a lot of theories still out
Mhm.
there in the social media
Yeah.
sphere.
Yeah, we haven't even made it a full 24 hours and there's like all these theories. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was a lot. I don't know. I want Aaron to be okay and I want everything to be fine. So,
Mhm.
because we were really loving Aaron this season and I want to keep him.
Mhm.
But last up is the Lopez stuff for the rookie. No, I mean, again, it just like kind of intertwines with the rest of the story, but they had happy moments. So Lopez is getting out of the elevator. She's like, I can walk by myself. Like, I don't need help. And she's wondering if he set the security alarm. He's just focused on getting her in a hospital bed because her water broke during all of this. And so they then see Aaron being rolled in, Bailey sharing what his condition is. And they don't really know anything else besides that as far as like what happened or anything. So, kind of later in the episode, Lopez, more so Angela, is on a mission to solve this riddle, like even erasing the whiteboard in her room with the details of her labor. And Wesley's like, I'll write the riddle on the board because you are having contractions. And so Luna Gray comes in. She's like, I do 3 crossword puzzles a day, so I'm here to help. And she poses the question of what if it's about the victim, not about the attacker? And the attacker thinks that Selena and Aaron are to blame and guilty. And so Angela just wonders where all of this started. And Wesley's like, he cautiously answers with an arrest because, like, to him, everything starts there. But they're like, well, if it's someone that Aaron and Selena arrested, like, it would make sense. But then I had the question of, well, why would they be working together? Because he's a P2 and she's a rookie. She's not his rookie and he's not a TO. So it's not like they did like a switch, like the switch up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It was just kind of like, it was weird to me. Maybe it was just meant to be like a thrown off question. But Angela's having another contraction as they're like working on the riddle. And they're like, well, maybe Selena heard the last line wrong. And Wesley gives a suggestion, but he's like, I have no idea what it could possibly mean. And so Angela's like, why are we even taking this at face value? Like, the first few lines are already deceptive. What if the last line is too? And so they start reading everything backwards. Wesley's like, what if it's a Samorta lap? And both women look at him like he's crazy. And it spells palindromes backwards. And he's like, if the word is backward, maybe the sentence is too. And so they read the sentence backward and it's trap evil, a reviled God. And so the doctor like comes in wondering what's going on, what they're doing with the board. Like, she's like, we write important things on here. And Angela looks up trap evil, a reviled God, and it's a line from a play. So the doctor's like, it's time to have baby. Like, it's been 24 hours. And Angela's like, yeah, first I need to make a quick detour. And then doctor's like, do I look like a taxi service? Like, no. But she like then meets Nyla and shares that they solved the riddle. And it points them to an obscure one act play. And so she shows Nyla the costumes and, like, with that, she's off to have the baby. So Wesley then like FaceTimes Gray, who's with Tim, Lucy, Nyla, and John. And he immediately is like, Gray immediately assumes that something's wrong, right? Because like their last time having a baby, there was something wrong, but it was leading up to it. And Wesley is just a proud dad and wants to show off baby girl Evers. And so Angela then asks if they've caught the guys yet. And Wesley asks about Aaron, who's still in a coma, and their worried faces are just, oh my gosh, they hurt. And then when Angela like looked over to Wesley after hearing about Aaron, I was like, they're naming this baby Aaron. Like, they have to, right? I don't know. I feel like they just have to at this point. Like, it's just tradition for them. But yeah, this episode was a lot. But that's about it for that one. It was kind of all over the place as far as the outline, but everything like flowed together so nicely. It was such a good like team episode.
Mhm.
But yeah, it always comes at the cost of like someone being in peril. So yeah.
Yep.
We do have some listener thoughts. Do you want to take us through the first one?
Sure. So Valerie had said the finale was great. Lots of action and emotion. If Aaron doesn't make it, someone needs to start a petition for Angela not to have any more kids. Oh, to not name them after.
I guess, yeah.
Gotcha.
Christopher had said, can't wait for season 6, episode 1 of The Rookie. Same.
Mhm.
I need the wrap up to this because I don't know. The Rookie definitely knows how to do a mid-season or spring finale and like leave us on the edge of our seats.
Mhm.
But again, kudos to the writers because without them, this would not be happening.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Mindy had said the Rookie finale was so good. That Chenford fight scene was epic. Selena stole the episode. I loved her talking to Aaron at the hospital. He has to be okay. She's happy Angela had her baby during the episode, because they were worried that that would be a cliffhanger.
I never even thought about that being the cliffhanger.
I didn't either. Of course, I didn't. I don't know. I wasn't really thinking of Angela having the baby
Yeah,
in the episode until it happened, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a good, like, a source
yeah,
of happy news
yeah.
for
I
them.
was kind of surprised that they did do it in this episode because I was like, I didn't think that she was that far along, but I'm glad that they did, and I'm glad that that it was an episode and we didn't just come back from hiatus and Lopez has baby number 2, you know.
Hmm.
So Becky had said, I liked The Rookie. You were on the edge of your seat the whole time. Got some good Chenford moments. It's going to be an interesting season 6. Definitely. I'm glad that they got a season 6. I mean, I feel like the finale would have been maybe a little different had we not, but even then it was already written and filmed by the time they had season 6 renewal, unless they knew about it before. I don't know, but yeah.
Mm. Bus Turtle said everyone really brought their A game this episode, and it shows. From everyone's concern for Aaron and Selena. To Selena feeling guilty for not doing enough, to Gray nearly breaking down, to Harper's look of despair at the thought of never seeing Leah again. The episode was very emotional and a real testament to the talent of the writing team. And they said a horror episode of The Rookie is something I didn't even know I wanted, but they delivered. Some bright spots were Lopez welcoming their baby girl, Tim comforting Lucy, and of course the Balin and Chenford fight scenes. And they said Selena was the MVP this episode. She kept Aaron alive long enough to give him a fighting chance, and remembered the riddle word for word after suffering a concussion. That's badass.
Hmm.
And they wonder about like the cliffhangers, what could possibly have been so important to this person that he was willing to, you know, uh attack an entire police division just to complete this task.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll find out in a few months. And it was amazing. It was an overall amazing episode, solid 9 out of 10. And hope Aaron pulls through. Um, yeah, yeah, it was a amazing overall episode.
It was.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just like, I hope that everything is good with Aaron. I don't know. I have a theory about Selena and Aaron and why they became close. I don't know. I feel like if he dies, which obviously hope that that does not happen, that this whole like thing brings back memories and trauma from her sister's kidnapping. And like she wonders if she can save anyone anymore, like from bad things happening to them. And I'm like, obviously you don't want that, but it'd bring more character development for Selena. And that I want, but Aaron dying, I don't want. So if we could have the one without having the other, that would be perfect. But I don't know. That was
Don't
like
know if that's
after.
possible.
Yeah. That was maybe it's possible with the Rookie. They don't traumatize us as much as like other shows do.
Well, yeah, but I just mean for that specific thing, I don't
Yeah.
know if one could happen without the other, unless
Yeah.
there's another major
Well, it
kidnapping and person
could.
in
I mean,
peril.
Selena could still like blame herself, even though Aaron's fine. It could kind of be like a Brendan and Simone thing where she's like, trying to make it up to Aaron all the time. And he's just like, no, like it's fine. Like we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like you don't have to blame yourself. And she is kind of like, no, but I am. And, then she's like questioning her abilities as a cop. I'm just going to stop talking because this is not making me feel good. And I don't want this to come true. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, that's about it for the Rookie.
Mm-hmm.
We could start with the Rookie Feds now because this was a good episode too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the Rookie Feds, 122 is titled Red 1. We're gonna start with the attempted murder of an FBI agent. Neil Wazzaro was the agent who was at the very beginning of the episode found, or who was buried alive out in the desert. And he was found stumbling around and claims to have no memory of what happened. He's a part of the Internal Investigation Unit, or the IIU. And since they can't investigate themselves, the director, Jack, has called on Garza's team to do it. And Carter asks why Neil was in Nevada because he's wandering around outside of Vegas. If the IIU is in DC. And Jack said that he was conducting a routine vehicle inspection at the FBI substation in Calexico, California, which I didn't even know was a place in California. So I don't know, it's kind of a fun word to say too. And so Brendan and Laura are tasked with doing a deep dive on Neil. And Laura and Matt go to question him. The only thing he remembers are the two words, Red 1. Well, that, and he thinks he met some women at the bar that he was at in Vegas. And Antoinette is called in to run tests on him. And while all of that's kind of happening, Simone and Carter, Garza had sent them to Las Vegas to retrace Neil's steps. And so they're investigating the noise complaint that was made at Neil's hotel room. And they get inside. They find a UCLA senior named Sam holding what he thinks is a briefcase bomb, which, according to Carter, there are no such things. There are apparently suitcase bombs, but not briefcase ones. And so when they like kind of get it back from him, they prove that no such thing exists because no explosion actually occurs when they have it in their possession. And so they asked kind of why he's there, and Sam had said some FBI got him and told him that there's national emergency and told him to hold the briefcase. But he didn't know much about the actual party that was going on in the hotel room. He just was worried about this, the briefcase. But he does remember that one girl named Mandy gave him her number. So Carter and Simone go talk to her. And all she knows, though, is that Neil's friend paid her to show him a good time. And his friend gave her Molly to put in his drink, but she insists that she did not drug him. She simply just supplied him with drinks and took the party up to his hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know the friend's name, but Simone is convinced that Mandy knows his face, so they are taking her to a sketch artist. And back at the office, Brendan, Laura, and Elena are going over Neil's file, and they discover that he broke his back 4 years ago, but instead of being forced into medical retirement, his good pal Jack got him to stay on at the IIU. And so Laura kind of wonders maybe if he just wanted it to be like the old days again and kind of, let loose. But Antoinette comes back in and mentions that Neil's talk screen shows alcohol, LSD, MDMA, and truth serum in his system. And so it cuts over. Garza's trying to push Wazzaro because someone got into his hotel room later and drugged him because the sex workers did not. And Garza knows that he was interrogated because he ended up talking and revealing information. And so the sketches must have worked because they come back with a sketch, and Neil points out that that's looks like Tom Mathis. And he was the guy that Neil was sent to DC to investigate with the vehicle inspection. And so Brendan and Laura are sent to the field office in Calexico to talk to Tom. They notice his car is outside the office, and Laura says, it's not always just a fender bender because Tom had his girlfriend with him when it occurred. And she's doing like one of the things where she like asks not rhetorical questions, but is like quizzing Brendan on like why that's, not part of the procedure. And he says that's a no because agents aren't allowed to use, they keep saying BU cars are short for bureau. They're not allowed to use those cars for personal matters.
When they were looking at the car, I was like, something's gonna happen here. Like it's gonna blow up or something.
Yeah, I thought the car was gonna explode. Yeah. And he asks aloud as they're walking up to the door, he's like, but if it's just a slap on the wrist or on the wrist, why would Tom want to kill Neil over it? And when they meet Mathis, he doesn't exactly dive into much regarding Neil's visit to the office, but he does mention that Neil wanted him to show him around Sin City because Tom ended up following him to Vegas, but then he was like, but Neil was looking for trouble. And so as he's kind of talking, Laura notices the coffee cups, noting how there are 3 of them, and asks if there's anyone else here with him. And I love how he was like trying to like go over and like get rid of the cups, and Brendan's like, hey, like no, because they were still warm. So obviously these other 2 people had just moved out of that space. And I just liked how Brendan communicated all this through like eye contact though, because love those types of nonverbal communication moments for duos. So but before Tom can answer, Laura yells for them to take cover, and she ducks behind the door. Brendan and Tom duck underneath the desk because their shootout occurs, and the shooters run out, but Laura gives chase. Thank goodness she didn't get shot because the FBI like never has their best on in like opportune moments or inopportune moments like this, I guess. And she ducks behind, I guess it was like a stone or like whatever kind of material the sign was made out of, that protected her from most of the bullets. And then peeks out around the sign, shoots one of the suspects in the shoulder, I think. And they go down by Tom's car, and she's holding her own until Brendan gets out there. Like one arm, he had cuffed Tom, pulling him out, and then the other arm had his gun out to tell the other suspect to get down on the ground, put his hands up. And Laura had shot up the car so much though that the front fell off and revealed the hidden drugs, and we get the classic, as Jennifer had mentioned, kind of something that you would think would happen in The Rookie happened on Feds, where he was like I can explain that.
Yeah.
And Brenson just looks at each other like, uh-huh, yeah, you're going to.
Yeah.
Because they drag him back to their office. And so when they're questioning Tom, he explained that he's, at the most boring field office and there's nothing to do. And so Brendan's like, so you decide to run drugs for a cartel? And he's like, yeah, well, it pays good. And I'm like, why?
Hmm.
Why? That's nuts. Um, Tom was convinced that Neil was onto him from the jump, though. And as Neil and Garza are watching Tom in the interrogation room, uh, Neil was like, nope, I couldn't tell you that Tom was running drugs. I couldn't have told you anything about that.
Yeah.
And um, Tom figured that if he could catch Neil in compromising positions in Vegas, he could blackmail him into letting the whole car thing go. Um, and so he filmed Wazaro in Vegas, but he insists that he didn't do the truth serum bit. And so Carter and Simone are called to the, I guess, burial site where Neil was put and find the CSI tech had found his credentials, his wallet, and an old school lighter. But Neil's file said that he didn't smoke, so maybe the people who buried him did. So they're going to have it dusted for prints. And back at the office, Brendan's scrubbing through Tom's footage of Neil, and Garza comes in and notices that there are two guys in the background of that video watching Wazara with the women at the bar, and one of them is holding the lighter that Carter and Simone had found earlier. And so, and they want to know what the two men are saying in the background of the video, so they call in Fletcher, an ASL agent, and Elena had that idea for him to like read the suspect's lips. And they find out that they had said, how long do we wait? Be patient, not until he's alone. And the red one is not Rid one either. It's Ridwan, which is like a
Oh,
Saudi
yeah.
name, according to Garza. So they've got to narrow down who would have that name. Um, Apparently they do, because Carter and Simone are obviously still in Nevada. But they've got Ridwan's full name, which is Ridwan Al Nassar, and he apparently flew into the States from Saudi Arabia 2 days ago, but they don't know exactly why. All they know now is that he's in Seattle.
Hmm.
Carter was such a mood. He's like, now we can go home.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to be in Vegas. He was like, okay, now we can go.
Carter is just always a mood. Let's be real.
Yeah. And Elena comes in a little bit later to try to help jog Neil's memory, saying how, smells and sounds, etc., can help. Bit by bit, his memories start to come back, and he finally remembered that Aaron Moore, who's a retired U.S. Marshal from Seattle, was the like name that he was supposed to remember. So she must be the next target.
Mhm.
Because the case Aaron worked with Neil was the case of Jeffrey Kirchhoff, who was a war criminal who became a double agent, apparently, for the FBI. So he was placed in witness protection, and Neil handed him off to Aaron, and she was the one that placed him, with the new identity, new location, things like that. And so she's the one that knows Jeffrey's new identity, which is what Ridwan is after. But it's too late, because as they're watching the video footage from Seattle HRT, they are at Erin's house, and she's already been murdered. And Kirchhoff must have gotten the new identity and is headed there to now kill Jeffrey. And the camera cuts over to Agora Hills, California, where we just see the mom and young girl are going inside their house. But then obviously we realize this is Jeffrey's family, because the two suspects are watching them as they go, kind of lying in wait to ambush the house. And Jeffrey's identity, like his witness protection identity is he's known as Sid, as his wife calls him. Like while they're in the kitchen, kind of just, having a nice family moment, until he kind of spots a flash of movement by the door and tells his wife to take their daughter Lindsay and go upstairs to hide.
Yeah.
Because they're already like raiding the house, trying to get to find everyone to harm them. We see Garza's team arrive at the house. Brenson's going around the back. Garza, Carter, and Simone are going through the front entrance, and Brenson managed to get one in custody rather quickly. And Jeffrey shot one down in his kitchen, but his wife and daughter are like they had hidden in the closet, but one of the other suspects found them and made them get out, and where they were on the floor of the room. And his wife and daughter didn't know his real identity, obviously, and they're like Simone was kind of scouring the upstairs and noticed that there was movement and noise coming down the hall, so she was going to go investigate that, and she kind of can see around the corner that the wife and daughter are there and about to be shot and killed, when she jumps in front of the bullet and lands on the ground. And so you think like that's kind of all, like you see as she jumps, and then you see it from the body cam angles, and you see her just like fall to the ground. And then so we see Brendan and Carter come in there. They get her. Laura's cuffing the suspect that fired, and they're checking her for the entry wound of the bullet, but then she comes to, and she's like, why are you guys shouting? Like, not even like I'm okay. She's just like, why are you guys shouting? They're all worried about her. And so we'll get a little bit more into that, like just the aftermath of that in a minute. But later Garza is talking with Jack and saying how he's the one who ordered the Witsec for Jeffrey. And he's kind of like, Jack kind of makes it seem, like, oh, it's okay, haven't you ever used a bad guy to catch an even bigger bad guy? And Garza kind of wonders, well, like, how many more types of people are there that they've had to use? And Jack kind of just doesn't really answer, and just kind of, is like, good work, and, to have Garza tell his team thanks from him as well. And then a little bit later, Elena is talking to Matt, and, is asking like, well, who really are the good guys? And Garza says, so that's a good question, kind of leaving it open-ended in a way. So yeah, so that was like one of the, they're kind of like equal in screen time, both of these storylines, really. Because Simone's birthday was kind of interwoven with the Vegas stuff, because she wanted to have fun in Vegas. And so for the Simone's birthday portion, it was part of the sneak peek that we had seen, where she is at Cuddy's house, and they're going over her birthday plans, and how many people are going to be there, because the chef needs a head count. And then she kind of goes off looking at the list of RSVPs and who has or haven't, or who they may be. And Cuddy kind of mentions how she needs to relax about the number of, or lack there of, in the RSVPs. And but Simone being Simone, she's like, no, but I know people are gonna want to come, and I want everyone who's ever impacted my life in a way to be at that party. Which is why she's so shocked to see that, Laura had said maybe, Carter said flat out no, and then Matt didn't even reply to her
that all doesn't
invitation.
surprise me.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised at all that she is going all out for her birthday. Like
Yeah.
she is a big birthday queen, I feel like.
Mhm. Yeah. And then so we see the other little sneak peek that we got of Brendan shows Antoinette the necklace he had gotten made for Simone. Because based off a photo of the one that her mom used to have. And Antoinette is like, it's beautiful, but isn't it a little, thirsty, as Americans like to say. But Brendan doesn't really see much wrong with it, even after Elena mentions that Antoinette could possibly be jealous about all the gifts that he's giving Simone for her birthday week. Not just birthday, but birthday week. So it's 7 gifts. Although today is day 6 of 7. Which I seriously want to know what the other 5 were then, because we know what the 7th one was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know what the 6th one is, obviously, but I want to know what the other 5 were.
And we know that Brendan is a good gift giver, so as evidenced by his gifts to Laura.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just want to know, like, gift giving is his love language, but like, what does he love in return? Like, does he love to receive gifts too? Or is he more of like a words of affirmation person? Or
I feel like he's a words of affirmation person.
I kind of think so too. Like, you'll get into it too with the Antoinette stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like he is kind of words of affirmation.
Yeah. I feel like that should be an episode that we do, is just talk about like what we think that each character's like love language is.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously some have already been well established. Like, we know what Chenford's.
Yeah, but I feel like we could probably come up with more for Chenford too. Okay, we're doing that for a hiatus episode.
Writing it down, making a note.
Yes.
But anyway, and then we got, oh my God, I just thought Carter was just, I mean, I always appreciate the like comedic timing that James had, but just something about just like how he and Niecy just go back and forth constantly about these boundaries.
I just love how he was so blunt about it. Like, they could have their own spin-off show besides Feds. And I would literally watch every minute of it.
Yeah, it's so funny. Because they're at work. Well, because Elena had pulled Brendan out because the director was going to have the meeting before the team was called away for the whole thing with Neil. And Simone had saved Brendan a seat in the, again, not a lecture hall, still don't know what the heck to call the room.
I hope that we get an official name for it in season 2.
I don't know. There has to, if anyone, seriously though, if anyone knows like what those names are actually, or what those rooms are actually named, if they're not in a, collegiate setting, do let me know, because it's driving me nuts.
I mean, I feel like at this point, if we don't get it in season 2, we just need to come up with our own name for it.
But anyway, and so Brendan had literally just sat down. It was kind of, the necklace was kind of, the box or whatever was in his jacket, and Simone had kind of noticed that he had something, and so he had gotten out, given it to her, and she had like just opened it. They had their nice little moment, and then like Laura and Carter come up, and she's like, "Oh, you're right, Carter. We do have the best probies ever because they saved us seeds." And they literally, like, the way that, I don't know if like it was supposed to be simultaneously delivered, but like Kevin and Niecy both were like, and their characters like, "No, we didn't." Like, no, didn't actually save you guys seats. But then Carter was like, "No, yeah, you did. Like, come on, get up."
Go stand over there.
Yeah, with the rest of the agents that lack seniority. And I'm like, why does seniority equal a seat?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, you think with that many, with how big that room's supposed to be, I would think that there'd be enough chairs, maybe not.
So is that like equivalent to the rookies on the flagship show having to sit in the front of the room, whereas like the other P2s,
get to sit in the back or middle?
Because there was one episode where Jackson was in one of their seats, wasn't he? Like, they tried to sit in like a different row, and Nyla Nyla was like, move. Was it Nyla? It was Nyla, but who was she talking to?
I don't know,
Jackson.
but I know. I mean, I know I can see it in my head. I
Hmm.
just can't. I can see her though. I can't see who she was
Yeah.
talking to. I don't know. I just remember when Nyla sat in the front of the room and Tim was like, "What the heck is she doing up
Yeah.
there?" And she's like, "No, that's where I'm going to sit for the first thing. Like, I don't care."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess I would equate it to the rookie, how
Yeah.
they have, they each kind of have their own spots. Um, but anyway, so in that kind of conversation, because Brendan had just like gotten up, walked away, like, Laura could have his seat,
Hmm.
whatever. Simone got up, still stood there having a full-on conversation with the two of them. It's like, hey, but what about my birthday party? And like, you said maybe. Why'd you say maybe? And Laura's like, well, I'm an FBI agent. I'm always on call, so I'm always a maybe.
Hmm.
Um, and this is where Carter, goes into, while he appreciates that she feels comfortable enough to fraternize with him, he can't even say just like hang out. He's so
Yeah.
technical. Um, they need to like reestablish their boundaries and kind of reset everything. And Simone doesn't understand why that can't happen tomorrow. And he's like, no, it's got to stop like right now.
Hmm.
Um, and so kind of so like I said, Brennan had given Simone the sixth gift. And later on, before they or as they're kind of arriving at the Calexico office, his connection to Lizzo falls through with his former publicist. So Simone won't get the happy birthday uh sung to her by the famous singer like Brendan had planned. And Laura mentioned how, you know, while she knows that he prides himself on being the best gift giver, like aren't, seven gifts a bit much? And um, could he be overcompensating? And I I just love how they did the back and forth and he's like,
Hmm.
no, I'm not. And she's like, no, yeah, you are. Like
Yeah.
she's right. Always. Um,
Oh, I love the
and
partnership dynamics in the show.
yeah,
That's what
so
makes
good.
it so good. That's what makes like all the case jargon and like the FBI stuff that they talk
Mhm.
about and do like tolerable. I'm not that it's not, but like I don't know, it's easier to kind of like comprehend and doesn't make it so case heavy when there's fun jabs with the partners.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, and so um while Carter and Simone are in Vegas, she does like she's sitting at the I guess at a bar. And Carter, it said since they have to stay the night or whatever, like he's ready to like just go turn in, like he's done for the day. But he kind of like pauses for a moment, kind of turns back around and is like, unless you really, like want me to stay down here. And he kind of just, asks why her 49th birthday is so important to her. And Simone had said that her mom didn't make it to hers. And so she had passed when she was 48. And literally though, like as soon as they said that, all I could think about was the lyric in Dylan Conrick's song for Birthday Cake.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
literally all I thought of. I was like, whoa, like probably unintentional, but just I
Hmm.
mean, um
Yeah.
the fact that that was yeah. Um but anyway, Simone had said that, her mom was like the glue that held the family together. And so she kind of knows how, precious these life moments are. And she wants to kind of, do what she can to celebrate the life that she's, thankful to have now. Um, and so obviously she does. I mean, because she ends up, gambling and, telling Carter that she's always lucky on her birthday. And, he doesn't really buy into the whole luck thing. So she's like, okay, fine, give me $1. And she plays it into the slots and doesn't win on her first go. And Carter's like, hey, now I'm really leaving. Like, bye-bye. And like as soon as he walks away, she goes again and wins the $25,000. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. I
So
love that
he
he like made an effort to ask like
mhm,
more about her personal life.
mhm,
Because I feel
yeah.
like he wouldn't normally do that. So
Yeah, well, because he was, even Simone was like, "What about your boundaries?" And he's like, "Well, no, it's like your day." So he kind
mhm.
of, I think, just made that.
And he like wished
Um,
her a happy birthday. Like, oh my gosh, I love
yeah,
these two.
yeah. Well, because like even on the plane when they were going to Vegas, because she was like, "How do you, like, what do you not celebrate your birthday?" And he's like, "Nothing's ever really good after 25." And she's like, "What the heck's so special about being 25?" And he's like, "You get the discounts on the car rentals." And she's like laughing as if he's joking and he's being completely serious. And she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So like they're definitely not on the same page when it comes to things like that, but it's nice that they
Yeah.
kind of could find that common ground um with that. And um back at the um office, Brendan, was making some more calls, trying to, come up with a new gift for Simone to no avail. And Antoinette asked him, why he's doing all this. And he had kind of asked, well, like kind of he wondered why she was wondering about it and asked if she was jealous, but she just wanted to know like what was so special about Simone to him. And he tells her about how he like Quantico was really bad for him with training and everything. And basically like every day he kind of either wanted to quit or essentially go on a bender. And he was like no one really seemed to care, or like no one helped him really except for Simone, which is why he kind of he like in he tells Antoinette that basically like everything good that he has now is like because of her, and so he feels that he's indebted to her. And
Mhm.
Antoinette kind of tells him like not exactly like that he should cut himself some slack because he doesn't owe anyone anything. And she's like 100% sure if someone were there at that moment that she'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
And that is proven later when after Simone is shot and at the hospital and everything. Apparently the bullet caught the vest, which I didn't really, I mean, like I figured it did, but like I don't, because he didn't even like, I couldn't even see it like had punctured the vest or not, So I
Yeah.
was like, did she really get shot? Because they kept mentioning like the bruise or whatever, and I was like,
Hmm.
okay, did it just like hit, like the impact of like doing all of it, like
Yeah.
just like injure her? Like I didn't understand.
At first, I didn't even realize that she got shot, though. Like, I knew that someone went down, but I thought it was the mom that got
Mm-hmm.
shot. Like, I didn't realize that it was Simone. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that kind of threw me off. But yeah, it was kind of, I don't know, not weird that she was bruised from it, but it was kind of like, well, where is the bruise happening? Because you don't
Yeah,
actually see the bullet like hitting the vest. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, and so, and Brennan's kind of there, like, they're just kind of sitting and talking, and he, kind of mentions, about the, how everything had worked out, or almost worked out for her birthday. And, she reassures him that the, true gift is getting to work with him on the job every day because, he's her best friend, she's his best friend. They're,
Yeah.
the bestie duo
This
on
show
the
really
show.
like shows the best friend like partnership
Mm-hmm.
dynamic, which I feel like they kind of needed anyway for season one,
Yeah.
but I love it. Again, we need
Yeah.
a season two, like right now. Stat.
Yeah. And she had asked what time is it, and he's like, "Oh, it's almost 9." And because Cuddy had called um kind of on cue and mentions how everyone's there for the party. But the birthday girl is not. And Simone, tells him that she was shot, but the vest stopped the bullet. Um, and she's like, "Keep everyone there, like I'll be there in a little bit." And he's like, "Okay." And so they hang up. And Carter comes and asks if she needs anything, and she says that she does. I'm assuming the need that she asked for is like for someone to call Antoinette or call everyone else back into the office. Like I didn't really
Yeah.
know what it was. Because Antoinette showed back up and told Garza at the end of the episode, like, you know, she was told to come here. And basically we for the end scene, you know, we see Simone's all dressed up and all, you know, like freshened up, even, you know, despite having been shot that day. And, you know, going over everything about, you know, in just such a positive way, you know, putting a positive spin on everything. You know, she got to go to Vegas, she got to save a mom and daughter, she got to, you know, win the 25 grand, almost 30 after playing the craps table.
Take down a like briefcase nuke.
Yeah,
Everyone's reactions to finding
yeah.
out these things were hilarious.
Yeah.
Carter's like, wait, no, that's what happened. Like you won 25,000. I was like, oh my God, this man.
Yeah, and Garth was
So
like,
funny.
"Did she say briefcase nuke? Like,
Yeah.
what is this?" And Laura was like, "I'm still thinking about the 25 grand that she won. Like, that's fine."
Like everyone moved on, and Garth is like, briefcase nuke? Well, what?
Yeah. And so Simone's basically insisting that everyone's going to her birthday party. And probably because I've seen Niecy in so many other things, but like when she was delivering this, it's not really a monologue. I don't know what else to call it though. Like you know, she like turns to Laura and is like, "Your maybe's a hell yes." And, you know, like Brendan's the, you know, ride or die. So of course, you know, he's coming and Elena's down for anything and da 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 da. Like she just like she got in this like voice. I don't know how to explain it, but just very like not casual, but I don't know, just like sassy, I guess. I don't know. That she's done in like her other roles too. It was like I just got like a total flashback to her in like other roles. I was like, whoa, this is like classic Niecy acting. Yeah, so she, you know, does convince everyone to go to the party because we see the group kind of walking out together looking all happy, smiley. And so at least one episode ended on a, even though it's still technically like open-ended, it was a happier open ending.
I'm glad that it was, because I mean, obviously again at this point, like we don't know the outcome if we're going to season 2, so I'm glad that it ended better. Like it didn't have like a huge cliffhanger. So yeah, but I loved the found family aspect. Like it reminded me again of the Thanksgiving episode where like they all came around, and I love it.
Yep.
We did have one listener thought for the rookie feds. Valerie had said, "I really liked the feds finale. I imagine Carter having a personal rules list like Gibbs from NCIS." I don't really watch NCIS. I've caught it a few times, but yeah, he definitely has a personal rules list.
Yeah, like a boundaries list.
Yeah, he definitely does. It's probably laminated and like, I don't know, hanging up everywhere where he would see it too. Because he is very much like a stickler for the rules, I feel like.
I could see it just like he would like make a side list, like specifically if Simone like comes up with more, you know, things to invite him to. He'd like have one pull out of his pocket and be like, "This is why this is not happening. This is why this can't happen." Like, no, no, and no.
And he's probably showed Laura too, and he's like, "Look at this list that I created," and all that. I thought it was funny too when he recoiled seeing the bearded dragon or like the lizard thing.
So funny.
I was like, this man literally gets so excited for Bigfoot and it's a lizard and he's like jumping back.
So funny. And then he was like, "Who put the top hat on him? Why is he doing that?" And I'm like, like you're talking about the top hat now. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
We need more Carter Hope, please. Yeah, so I mean that's it for us on the rookie and the rookie feds finale. I can't believe that like we're here. Like we've made it through another season. And now we have a hiatus to wait through. But it'll be fun. We'll have Chenford week. We're gonna do a love languages episode, other episodes. Yeah. So you guys can find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod _ or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. I mean, over the summer, like I'm gonna be definitely watching all the shows that I've missed out on. I don't know about you, but we'll be watching other things. So yeah. You can find us individually on Twitter as well. I'm at jstark804.
And I'm at Carrie Hyman.
And we're also on TikTok at the Shop Talk Podcast _. If you liked this episode and Shop Talk as a whole, please leave us a rating and review. It really helps out the podcast and helps other fans find us. And we're going to be taking a little break next week. But we will be figuring out our summer schedule. And we'll be sure to let you know what we're doing next on our Twitter page. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Go get him, boo.